Hello, it's my first anniversary at WHO Radio. I'm so excited to be producer for the morning show. So I thought I'd give you a tour of what I see every morning here at WHO that I've always considered the holy grail of radio. WHO Radio, 1040. Let's get Uncle Ron in the picture first of all. They called him Dutch Reagan back in the day when he was a sportscaster. I'm sure you've heard all the stories, and of course he dedicated the Fred Maytag pool back in the early 1930s. So let me give you a tour of what I see every morning here at WHO. This would be the Jim Beam control room. Let me tell you about Jim Beam. He's a good friend of mine. He worked here doing overnights for about 20 years. I know Jim Beam because he used to do overnights at a top 40 station many years ago at KSO. And he came to visit me at a radio station, KXJX in Pella. He wanted to tour the radio station, and we've been good friends ever since. I get together with him once a month at a radio get-together with a bunch of other radio people, and he is a radio geek just like I am. And so when he retired, they decided to dedicate the control room at WHO to Jim Beam. And yes, that is his real name, Jim Beam. His family were a bunch of teetotalers. They didn't even know about the Jim Beam whiskey. So they named him Jim. Their last name was Beam. That's his real name, and he's a great guy. This is where I work every morning. I get in here about 4:45 every morning, and this is a 20-channel Wheatstone control board, and I've never really worked with anything like this before. First thing I do is I dial up Dwayne Murley, who is one of our farm guys here at WHO. We do a farm block from about 5:10 to 5:30 every morning, and he has a home studio in Rockwell City, and it's quite nice, and he does the markets from there and does interviews from there. And when he does the big show, he's usually in Rockwell City unless he's on the road. And then about 5:35, 5:40 or so, Jeff Angelo does his show from the other side of the glass. You can kind of see that over there, and I'll take you into that studio in just a moment. But getting back to this studio, this computer to my far right is the computer that keeps what we call the log. It has the commercials on it. It has what has played and what is about to play in terms of commercials on the radio station. This computer to the left of that is our next gen computer as to what is being played on the air. This computer that's blank right now is our PC, and Jeff Angelo sends me a rundown of what he's going to talk about every morning. So we're both on the same page as what's going to happen on the show. If a guest is going to call in, or if I need to call a guest, or what his topic is going to be about, whether he needs to have audio played, and I need to make sure that his audio board is on and ready to go. We work together hand in hand during the morning show. There's a lot of moving parts to the morning show, and so we do have to work as a team. Over to the left of that is our phone panel. I'm kind of the switchboard operator for the morning show, and if he has any guests, I call them on the phone, or they call in. If we have any contests, so we have 12 lines coming in, and when we were giving away tickets to Paul McCartney, man, the phones just really lit up, and it's neat to see that happening here at WHO. This is a great radio station that has a huge signal, gets all over the country at night. And of course, we stream our audio too at whoradio.com, and so people hear us. We get calls from California, we get calls from all over the country too, from streaming and from our 50,000 watt signal also. So that's the control room, and this is where I hold court, I guess you could say, every weekday morning, Monday through Friday at WHO. Next, I'll take you into the studio that Jeff Angelo works from and Simon Conway works from every weekday. All right, this is the studio that Jeff Angelo works from in the morning and Simon Conway works from in the afternoon. I'll leave the door open so Little Red, my photographer, can come on in here. And you can see it's kind of different than any radio station I've ever worked at. There's all these different, what they call microphone turrets for guests. We do have a lot of guests in the studio, and it's pretty neat. It's a great setup that they have. And Jeff and Simon sit behind this control panel over here in this chair. And Jeff and Simon have this control board. It's a mini control board that they use to play audio off their PCs. And they let me know over in that control room we were just in if they have audio to play. And I will turn their control board on. And you can see there are several PCs. There are 4 PCs that are right here. Now, one of the PCs is open, and you can see the text line that they have. We get different comments that come in from listeners. Jeff doesn't really take a whole lot of phone calls in the morning. He doesn't have time because it's so busy in the morning, but he does get a lot of texts, and he does read those from time to time on the morning show. And he also gets comments, too, off the WHO app that we get. So he will play some of those back also in the morning. But he also can see what I see on Next Gen and what's on the air. So again, we work hand in hand in the morning as to what is going on. From his vantage point, he can see Wendy or Eva in the newsroom, 2 studios down from where he is. I can't see Wendy or Eva doing the news from where I am, and I also cannot see Nathan, who does the traffic. He's clear on the other side of the 3rd floor in his office. If I need to talk to Nathan, I have to call him on the phone and communicate with him. I do have the capability to talk to the news person on an intercom, and I will do that several times in the morning. If I need to talk to Jeff, I will talk to him on an intercom back and forth also. So we talk back and forth quite a bit in the morning also on an intercom. But this is where Jeff and Simon work from in the morning and afternoon. And so if you ever wondered what the studio looked like, that's what it looks like. I love all the signage that our promotion department has in the studio here. And when you hear us on WHO saying from the Hy-Vee studios, you know it's the Hy-Vee studios because Little Red, she can point the camera at the Hy-Vee sign that's here in the studio right up there. Yep, it is definitely the Hy-Vee studios. And we have Ivy from Hy-Vee come in all the time. She does a great job promoting all the great things going on at Hy-Vee. Last but not least, I guess I'll take you down to the studio that Wendy and Eva work out of and the news people work out of in the morning and afternoon from News Radio 1040 WH. This is the news studio that Wendy and Eva and the other news people work out of in the morning and afternoon. Thought I'd show this to you last. We do pride ourselves on our great news department. It's an award-winning news department. They've been here over the years, and they've done a great job, and I think it's proper that, we say we're the voice of Iowa and call ourselves News Radio because we have a really, really great news department here at WHO, and it's a badge of honor, definitely. So anyway, I, like I say, communicate with Wendy and Eva in the control room in the morning, and we talk about what's going on. If we have a breaking news story, I will get on the intercom and talk to Eva or Wendy about this, and then I'll talk to Jeff and say, hey, we need to go to the newsroom and discuss what's going on, and he'll break into what he's talking about, and we'll come into this news studio. And again, I cannot see them from where I'm at, but I can communicate with them, and that's what I will do. And they have news topics on this computer. They have the weather forecast, and they can see Next Gen, which is our computer program. And so they are on top of what is going on. So I just want to thank you for watching this video. I thought on my first anniversary here at WHO, you would appreciate my vantage point on what I see and do every morning as a producer for the morning show. I am honored to be working at this radio station. I wanted to work here for years. I worked here briefly for about 6 months back in the early 80s and then went next door to KLYF, which is now The Bus. But it's great to be working with wonderful folks, pros, and in fact, Bob Quinn, the farm director, who I worked with back in the early 80s. So it's just a joy to be employed by iHeart and WHO Radio, and it's my first anniversary, so woohoo! Excited to be doing this, and excited to be doing my podcast, Out and About with Jamie Grout, and I want to thank my camera person, Little Red, for doing a good job with this. I wouldn't have a website, I wouldn't have a logo, and I wouldn't have a YouTube channel if it weren't for her. So thanks again.